Ready?
Yes. What's up, guys, and welcome to episode number 4 of This Just In. Our owner and my father, Troy, and myself, TJ, are here to tell you all about what arrived at the Geekery this week. There's a bunch of awesome comics, board games, as well as some collectible games that are very exciting. Really a lot of good stuff this week.
Yeah, it was a good week for stuff coming in. And, of course, one of the cool things about being a comic shop is we get new stuff every single week. And a lot of the stuff actually never makes it to this show because a lot of the stuff comes in for our customers, place orders with us for very specific things that they want, be it comics, games, statues, collectible items. And that stuff gets put away directly for them as it comes in the door. So that stuff doesn't get shown in this show. The stuff that is shown in the show is stuff that's on the shelves and available for checking out for yourself if you come into the store.
Yeah, and you guys can always start a pull list if you'd like. We can hook you up with the previews, or you can pre-order from like Game Trade Magazine for any of you board gamers out there, and we'll give you 10% off. If you guys have any questions throughout the stream while we are talking comics and games and things, if you see something and say, hey, how is that book? Or, who's the writer of that? We'll do our best to answer that, so leave them in the comments below. And, we'll try and get to you guys and answer those questions. So let's get into this week's This Just In. We will start with DC Comics, a pretty strong entry with some really great books this week for sure. So we have Batman, number 30, I believe, which was a really cool interlude to the war of jokes and riddles. We've sort of seen this Kite Man arc throughout this really cool origin story for Batman, as it were, and we discover if Batman sort of chose sides. And yeah, I think it was a really strong issue. I really enjoyed this. Batman, Tom King is just doing an amazing job on this book, so always very excited to see that come in. I read it voraciously.
Yeah, and both Batman and Superman, since Rebirth, have been on the same number. They're both on number 30 this month, and both really cool issues. I know Superman is guest starring Sinestro, one of the most powerful
Lantern Corps
bearers of a lantern ring.
Yep.
So basically he's at a Superman level of power himself.
Yeah, those are both really great covers. I love the Batman one as well as the Superman with him facing off against Sinestro. And rounding out for DC this week, one of our favorite comics, Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Harley's an interesting case. I mean, I know in this episode or in this issue, she's kind of coming at odds with the Penguin, a long time, one of the oldest Batman villains there is, and she was sort of in a truce with the Penguin, apparently, ever since she kind of moved into New York, which that's another topic. I mean, as out of the 3 titles that we're showing here, Batman, of course, is based in Gotham, and Superman is based in Metropolis, and really, DC has always used these sort of fictional cities to represent kind of any city USA in Gotham and Metropolis. But Harley Quinn is sort of an odd case for DC, where she's positioned in New York, much like Marvel's Spider-Man, a well-known sort of Manhattan superhero. Harley from DC is a Coney Island superhero. She's based in Coney Island. And in this particular issue, the truce with the Penguin appears to be ending. The Penguin is not only after her territory, he's after the actual building that she lives in. So he's going straight for Harley's home in New York, in Coney Island. And I guess we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I know the next arc for Harley Quinn involves her running for mayor of New York, so it's ultra weird, but that's really cool to see DC using some real-world stuff. We don't often see that out of them. But yeah, all really great books, a strong lineup from DC. And Batman Day is Saturday, September 23rd, which is right around the corner. This is something that happens nationwide. Comic shops around the globe participate, as we will. We'll do some nature of sales with details coming soon on all Batman stuff, so that's always a really fun day. Sort of like, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, but it's Batman instead. So yeah, super fun, and keep an eye out for what's going on at your local comic shop.
Yeah, we'll probably have some decor, some stuff on our screens, that sort of thing, representing Batman, sort of giving a salute to a sort of long-time superhero from DC Comics. They encourage shops to have a very special day for Batman Day. If we've got any cosplayers out there that have any Batman costume gear, wear it into the shop. We'd love to see you come in. We might do something special for you.
Cool. So what do we got after DC Comics? Tough act to follow, but the indies are bringing some good stuff this week. So this is issue number 1 of Star Wars Adventures by IDW Comics, just released this week. It's actually my good, for the good, the bad, and the freaky. Super fun book. Sort of reminds me of like Saturday morning cartoons. It's an anthology book, so you get the first half of the book is a sort of self-contained story about Rey on Jakku before the events of The Force Awakens, or Episode 7, and then the second half of this book is this Star Charter, this kid that's flying around with his droids and his alien pets and things, and they're charting the galaxy, as it were, and they're off having their own adventures. A really cool original character and a really fun all-ages book in general.
Yeah, this is a great book for people to, any adult can enjoy this book. I mean, I know you read it almost immediately and had nothing but good things to say about it, but it's also well suited to the kids and particularly great to read together. If you like to sit down with the kids and read them something, this would be a great piece of work, and it starts at number 1. You could start collecting for them something that you can give them when they're a little bit older, and give them their collection starting from number 1 and running on up.
Yeah, really cool book. Another really cool book with a really cool protagonist. Amelia Earhart takes the stage in Elsewhere number 2. This was a book that I picked up off the shelf. It wasn't on my pull list or anything. Elsewhere number 1, and was really impressed with it. The art is really cool. It's the story of where Amelia Earhart landed when she disappeared all those years ago, and it's a lot stranger than you might think. She sort of landed on this alien planet, and she's looking for her navigator. She does not find him in the first issue, which would, obviously, but she does meet up with another famous aviator. I love the twist at the end of this first issue, and the second issue just continues to be really good. We still have copies of number 1 left, so if it's something that you think would interest you, swing down. We can hook you up for sure. And then we move on to The Walking Dead, number 171, which introduces a new character named Princess to the Walking Dead universe. She was quite the character, huge personality, and faced off against some of the most stoic members of the Walking Dead cast. But a really solid issue, I think, and I think people will be really excited about this new character.
Now, of course, this title comes from sort of a subdivision of Image, right? I mean, what is it, Skybound? Is that the... Yeah.
That's right, yes.
Robert Kirkman's Skybound imprint. You can see it in the upper right of that issue. And Robert Kirkman has recently become even more important to Image Comics than he was before, as I understand it.
Yeah, he is now the first person to be a co-owner that wasn't in the original members that split off from the big two and went and created Image Comics on their own 25 years ago. He's the first person to be brought in again. It's unprecedented, and he's very excited, as we saw in the newest Image Plus number 1. Actually talked about it, had a nice interview with him, and obviously he sort of deserves it. He's had these huge, long, ongoing, really well-received books, including The Walking Dead, Invincible, Outcast. I mean, just really huge, great books. So, there's not another more deserving person for it, really.
Yep, it's really no surprise. He's a powerhouse himself. I mean, his work on the Walking Dead television series has made him almost a household name, particularly in people that follow sort of fiction and zombie lore, particularly. So it's no surprise that they made him an important part. And these Skybound titles, there's more than one now. There's more than just The Walking Dead and Invincible. There's other ones coming under that imprint, and they're all awesome books. So he's doing really, really good work for Image, and they decided they wanted to show it, and made him a co-owner.
Yeah, he's forging really exciting new ground. But finally, for the indie comics, rounding it out is Sword Quest number 3, part of the Dynamite Atari line of comics. Now they have Sword Quest as well as Centipede. This is Sword Quest number 3, which, based on that 80s video game, of course, Atari game, but a lot more serious and character-driven than you might expect.
However, now what they've done is in this issue, they also go ahead and they're kind of branching away. So originally the story was that this guy was kind of had a horrible disease. He was going to die in some period of time, 6 months or whatever, and he decided he wanted to get his hands on one of these amazing swords produced by video game companies as a promotional piece that was actually jewel encrusted and super highly valuable, and only one of them was ever made. And so he was on a sword quest in modern day for one of these video game things. But now the book is taking a turn as of issue 3, where it's uncovering that there is actual magic in the world. So real magic starts to come into play. So the fiction is starting to come into play, and it'll be very interesting to see where this story evolves to. That's
very cool. I always like it when creators don't always show their full hand in the first issue. They sort of let this thing evolve and become something you might not have expected. So good stuff from the indie comics. Like I said earlier, if you guys have any questions about any of the books you're seeing or games, you want to know a little more, who's the writer, we'll do our best to answer your questions. Just leave them in those comments below. And what's up next? Marvel, a really strong week for Marvel, really. One of my favorite books is the first in line here, Iron Fist. This is number 7. And it's the end of an arc for Iron Fist. He has sort of gone through his trials on Kung Fu Island, or Shaolao Island, I believe it was called, and now he's back and is dealing with a new villain that is really exciting, as well as Shang-Chi makes a really cool appearance. So number 6 and number 7 were this arc, and he's moving on now from here. But one of my favorite books since number 1. It might very well be my favorite Marvel book going right now.
Right, I think it's pretty cool that they're having guest stars of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. I know that sort of Iron Fist and Shang-Chi have known each other for a really long time in Marvel lore. So it's kind of cool to see them come together again.
Yeah, they're very close friends, obviously kind of run in the same circles, and they work really well in this book. So good stuff there. Marvel's Generations continues with Marvel's Generations number 1, The Iron, which includes the meeting up of Riri Williams, Ironheart, and Tony Stark in his Iron Man costume, but he's also something we didn't quite see coming lately.
Yeah, Tony's in this universe, he's serving as the Sorcerer Supreme as well. So Riri meets him as Tony Stark, the Sorcerer Supreme. Normally Doctor Strange's role in the Marvel Universe, but they wanted to put a little bit of a spin on things so that Riri had some room, I think, for her own Iron Man stories.
But these books have been really cool, sort of one-shots that take a look at classic Marvel heroes and now their younger counterparts, leading up into Marvel's Legacy, which premieres later this month. Sort of a new beginning for Marvel Comics on the whole, and a lot of these have been really great. The Thor one was awesome, Hulk was really cool, and this one is very exciting too. I love these. Both of these characters are great in my mind, so super exciting. Glad it's here. But we have another one of my favorite Marvel books. Iron Fist might have replaced this week. But Daredevil has been really good all along. This is, of course, Charles Soule's Daredevil number 26, which is a new arc for Matt Murdock. He's off to far off in strange lands.
Yeah, I believe he goes and spends some time in sort of remote China. And so it's interesting to see him taken out of context. The cover of this Daredevil sort of represents, we've seen many of these scenes with Daredevil in that stance before, but it's always been buildings in the background, and they've kind of replaced that with various cliffs, rock formations, and jungle in order to give you that same general feeling. So Daredevil out in remote China is a pretty odd place for him to be.
It is odd, but it makes a lot of sense considering Charles Soule's arc that he's been taking Daredevil through throughout this run. Of course, he had a sidekick / apprentice early on in like the 10s and 12s who got injured, but that apprentice, Blind Spot, is a native Chinese man, and he's gone back to China and reaches out to Daredevil for some help. And I think it was a really strong issue. There's a lot of really great things about this book. Charles Soule's writing is amazing, and he has a really good sense of where he's going with the book. And so I'm excited to see this arc play out. As I said, this is a brand new arc, and it's only a couple issues because they're going into Marvel Legacy pretty soon. He's getting his own Legacy run leading into Mayor Fisk, which is a really exciting upcoming storyline. So this is a great point to jump on for Daredevil for sure. Another Charles Soule book, Darth Vader, number 5, wraps up its first arc in this latest issue. Of course, Darth Vader really needs no introduction.
Right, and they gave us the sense that this was going to be a 5-issue sort of mini-series, but I think it's been so popular and that people have enjoyed it so much, and maybe Charles enjoyed writing it so much.
I think so.
That it really shows. And so Darth Vader is going on. I believe this month we're ordering issue 7 or 8. So there's definitely going to be at least one more 5-issue arc, and probably an accompanying trade paperback for the first 5, and then probably a trade paperback for the second 5.
The latter half, yeah. So coming soon, a new trade paperback, issue 5 is in the Geekery right now. We have a couple Venomverse books rounding out the bottom half of Marvel this week, including Venomverse War Stories, which is taking a look at venomized variants of certain Marvel heroes, as I understand.
Yeah, they're little mini stories about sort of almost a what if this hero or character from the Marvel Universe had a symbiote suit and had the venom powers, essentially. And this particular one has mini stories relating to both the Punisher, venomized, and Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, venomized. So it should be pretty interesting to see how those characters play out their stories while having these venom capabilities.
We also have Guardians of the Galaxy number 9, which is sort of a Rocket and Groot-centric issue, as I understand. Rocket is maybe feeling a little guilty for Baby Groot not quite getting that growth spurt that he was expecting at this point. But Guardians of the Galaxy, always super fun and light. So super excited for that one as well. And Astonishing X-Men number 3, another Charles Soule book. He's got 3 out with Marvel this week, so that's good because I love all these books. This is continues to go strong. Number 3 was a great entry to an already really cool book where the certain X-Men are off facing the Shadow King in the astral plane. Of course, this issue, as you can tell by the cover, is sort of a character study of Logan and Wolverine, and I thought it was a really strong entry to the line so far. And of course, in the meantime, there's shenanigans going on outside the astral plane while Psylocke tries and keeps everything contained, and the X-Men on a mission just going. I'm really loving that book right now.
And then finally, sort of wrapping it up for Marvel monthly issues going on, is Venomverse number 1. And this is the Flash Thompson Venom, someone from Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man's high school classmate, Flash Thompson as Venom. And I know that in this particular issue, the start of this arc, the very first issue, number 1, there is sort of a new race out there, sort of an alien extraterrestrial race called the Poisons, and they are hunting venoms. And so Flash Thompson, I believe, makes the choice to go on the offensive and probably then try to get home from where he's at. And so he's trying to get rid of these venoms before they get rid of, or poisons before they get rid of him and any other venoms with the symbiote out there.
And we can see there's quite a few venoms with the symbiote out there based on this cover. Cool, yeah, so really strong lineup for Marvel this week. Very exciting book, some of my favorites. And yeah, we got copies here at the store if you feel like starting something new. Really great entry points for both Daredevil, Darth Vader, Generations, can't go wrong. It's good stuff. So let's move on to, what do we got?
Even more Marvels, but in this case, the trade paperbacks.
Nice, yeah, some really great trade paperbacks as well. A classic Fantastic Four story in Fantastic Four Crusaders and Titans.
Yeah, that Fantastic Four, that's George Perez Fantastic Four. So guaranteed, George Perez is legendary in comics art. And so unquestionably some awesome Fantastic Four art in this book.
Very exciting. Yeah, it seems like there's some Luke Cage action going on, as well as the classic Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, and Human Torch. So good stuff in that, for sure. And a new Uncanny X-Force, the Apocalypse Solution trade paperback, of course, by Rick Remender, who wrote a lot of Uncanny X-Force for some time. He really cut his teeth there. He's one of our favorite writers in the business right now, both from his Marvel stuff as well as the plethora of Image books that he's putting out right now. But you really can't go wrong with Rick Remender on the Uncanny X-Force.
Yeah, Uncanny X-Force, I mean, when people talk about Uncanny X-Force, which many people do, the Remender series, the Remender issues always come up because they're just exemplary. They're just amazing pieces of work, and they deliver characters that we're all familiar with, but in sort of new and deeper and sometimes darker ways.
That sounds like Rick Remender for you.
Right.
And of course, Iron Fist, the first trade, as we talked about. This is the same run where issue number 7 came in earlier, or this week as well. But this is the first 5 issues that involves Iron Fist sort of looking to get back his chi. He ends up on this Kung Fu tournament island, and it's just a really amazing book. The penciling in this is great. The details striking. The fight scenes are done really cool for a comic book. They have all these really amazing panels of just Iron Fist taking on all these bad dudes. And yeah, like I said, Ed Brisson is doing one of my favorite books with Marvel right now, and that is the first volume of it.
Right, and if we've interested you with Iron Fist in the discussion of the current issue number 7 and the Master of Kung Fu, Shang-Chi, this would be the way to sort of get caught up to where things, so from issue 1 through 5 is covered in this single trade paperback. Really nice way to get up to speed. And of course, no ads and high quality papers. Just a really nice book.
And we also have the end of Darth Maul, Cullen Bunn's run on Darth Maul, which has taken place throughout this year, and is a really cool character study of this sweet character that we met in episode 1 of Star Wars, but never really got a sense of what was going on with him. And I think Cullen Bunn does a really amazing job exploring that character.
Who else? I mean, Cullen Bunn is the kind of the king of the dark and sort of demonistic writing. He does this stuff, across the industry, writing for every individual publisher that's out there, it seems. And so, how perfect is it to attach him to a Darth Maul series?
Right. Yeah. Sort of not quite a Sith Lord, but somebody almost there, and obviously used as one who's been through a lot, especially in the cartoons and the movies, and now the comics. So, really exciting entry. It's 5 issues. And was a really great book that was published throughout this year. Now you can get it all bound into one copy. So super exciting for that. And like you said, yeah, Cullen Bunn does a ton of stuff with Image, Dark Horse, Marvel. I don't think he does any DC at the moment, but he has an Aftershock book. Just a super prolific writer. And Darth Maul is a strong entry to his sort of resume, as it were. So definitely good Marvel trades this week. Very exciting stuff. What else do we have? Up next,
I knew you were going to love this one.
I love this book, Extremity. This is, obviously a new book from Image, creator-owned. This is the first volume of Extremity. I believe this is a Skybound book as well. So, yeah, another one of those Robert Kirkman publishing house books. And Daniel Warren Johnson is just an amazing author. He writes the whole thing, he pencils the whole thing, he does the covers, just a genius as far as I'm concerned, and this book has been really amazing, this sort of really cool post-apocalyptic look at these survivors, but in a very fantasy way that feels really fresh and exciting. and it deals with this young woman, Thea, who lost her hand. She was an artist, and someone took that from her, and she's kind of on a quest to get it back. But, there's a lot of blood and tears shed throughout that quest. Really one of my favorite books that's going right now. The first 4 issues were great, but that sixth issue really drove it home for me and said, this is a book that, everyone should be reading.
Right, and this covers that whole arc, issues 1 through 6. And Daniel Warren Johnson is another one of those people, deserves amazing levels of respect. The ability to perform all of those roles at a level where each individual one of those roles, writing and the art, is normally done by someone who specializes specifically in those things in the comic industry. So any of these guys that can turn out an awesome, grade A book and perform all of those roles themselves is like, whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredibly impressive and a great book that I hope lives on for a long time to come, because it's just been really exciting. It's one of those books where as soon as we get it in our shipment, I flip through it and make sure I'm going to get a copy because I love it that much. And so super excited to have that first trade in. Of course, it's at that $9.99 price point, I believe, right? So nice entry level price for those Volume 1 Image books. Good stuff. I can't say enough good things about this book, really.
So last up for our sort of trade paperbacks and relating to books is our current comic book club's title.
That's right. So the Comic Book Club will be meeting on September 13th. That is, of course, next Wednesday. And we will be discussing Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman, which is a 12-issue run, super self-contained. He knew the story he wanted to tell. He did it in 12 issues, and now they're all bound here for your reading. I love that cover, man. It's just a great piece of imagery. And so very excited to be talking about this with the Comic Book Club next week. We have more copies in. If you guys are interested in joining the Comic Book Club, let us know that you're coming to the event on facebook.com/Freakopolis/events, or just show up and let us know what you've been reading. But we will be talking this book in depth. We will be talking about the art, the writing, the plot, the paneling, the lettering, the coloring. We dissect it to the nth degree, and I'm very excited to get into this because I know Grant Morrison really understands Superman as a character, which I don't think a lot of writers do, but he really gets it. And Frank Quietly does an amazing job as well. So, a really strong entry to our list of comic book club picks that I'm very excited to discuss with you guys.
Yeah, this book gets rave literary reviews. I mean, it's not just great reviews by comics industry reviewers, but also just by book reviewers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's another angle, maybe a deeper look at Superman's internal psyche and the way he sees the world, and it's a little bit of an alternative view of Superman than we normally see in any other Superman book. So a really cool title. We encourage you to get involved in our comic club, and learn about how deep these books really go, and enjoy some amazing art.
Yep, I'm very excited to read this piece of, American mythology, really. So that rounds it out for comics and books this week. A lot of really good stuff in there. Of course, September is just getting started. We got a lot of new comic book days left to go, and some really exciting titles coming out. If you guys feel like it, I know there's a lot of you guys in the chat right now. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could, like, share, subscribe, comment, any of the above to let your friends on Facebook here know that you were in the know. So thank you guys so much. Like I said, if you have any questions, I'm trying to answer them as best as I can in those comments. But for now, we will move on to a bit of our gaming stuff, I believe, right?
Well, we're going to take a look at one of our collectibles first, which is this cool Captain America Shield 3D Deco Light.
Yeah, these are super cool. We have a number of these in the store, including the Spider Hand and a Batarang. But they're really cool. They sort of embed into the wall. They look like they do anyways, and they sit on the wall with this really cool crack detail that you can see on the right side of that image there.
Yeah, that crack is done. They call it a wall tattoo, and essentially it rubs onto the wall, comes on sort of a sheet of waxy paper, rubs onto the wall. We use a credit card on the back side of it, it does a really nice job of putting this crack decal onto the wall, and then the light has a template that allows it to mount perfectly into that crack. As you can see in the sort of right-hand side of this, what it ultimately looks like. It works really nicely as a night light or a quiet room light. It allows, there's enough light sort of to move around, get up, go to the bathroom, that sort of thing, but not so much light that it'll keep you awake. So really nice for that. It's an LED based light.
Yeah, and this
based in batteries.
Right, that's right, yeah. And this is just one of the examples of one of those things that we get in because we try and have something for everyone. So yeah, just something really cool that, we have one in the store here. We have the Spider-Man hand, and found out we really like these things. We think they're super cool. So we got some of those in, and that is the Captain America Shield 3D Deco light. And,
now we can take a look at some of these board games.
Yeah, there we go. So 3 really cool new board games out this week, including a new game from one of my favorite game publishers, Aiello. That is, of course, right there on your screen, Bunny Kingdom. For 2 to 4 players, about 45 minutes or so, and it takes you take on the role of a bunny lord and attempt to build the biggest bunny kingdom that you can. And they have these really great miniatures and castle pieces where you are sort of building up your board and trying to please the Bunny King as best as you can. But there's a little more depth than that because there's also these missions you can complete for favor with the king and boons to help you build your kingdom. I'm really excited about this game. I might just pick up a copy myself.
Yeah, the board and the artwork are super whimsical, super attractive. There's a lot of really nice pieces involved. It's definitely a game. If you like a game with parts and pieces and tiles and cards and all of that stuff, this one won't fail there.
Oh, very true. And we'll move on to our next game, our second board game arrival this week, which is Whitehall Mysteries.
How could we not?
Yeah.
Given the fact that the Geekery is in downtown Whitehall, how could we not stock this game?
Right, of course it is not Whitehall, New York. It is Whitehall, England, which eventually turned into the Scotland Yard. But based on the time that this board game takes place, it was at the time Whitehall. And it is the story of 3 players take on the role of investigators. 1 player takes on the role of the infamous Jack the Ripper. And so those 3 players work together to capture Jack the Ripper, while 1 player attempts to evade the investigators. So really cool board. It seemed just too apropos for us being in Whitehall to not pick it up. And as I understand, it's sort of a game of deception and bluffing and clue finding.
Right, and the board is again really nicely made to look like a period map of the sort of rough city streets of Whitehall. And it just felt so right to have that here in the store. And I hope that people find it interesting and cool.
Yeah, very cool, because it's not like many other games we have in stock, so it's nice to get a new sort of entry to our board game catalog. And finally, we have Rail Raiders Infinite, which has some really beautiful art. I love the box on that thing. It's in that sort of chibi, cute Japanese style, but the gameplay looks really strong as well.
Right. This game comes from a game-making company called Ninja Division, and they are known for what is the name of that?
Oh, Super Dungeon.
Super Dungeon, yes. Sorry, that one slipped my mind. And Super Dungeon also used this chibi art style, and was really, really popular amongst both the people who love painting minis, as well as just the people who love playing in sort of dungeon exploration and dungeon battle games. And so Rail Raiders Infinite is a sci-fi version of that, where they're trying to get the most double dollars that they can from this futuristic train before the train pulls into station, and that's done through a variety of ways, which is primarily robbing the train.
Well, they are Rail Raiders, so that makes sense. But yeah, I love the art on this thing. The minis are super nice. It looks like it plays really cool with this train that you set out on the table, and has really cool dice that take the place of poker cards. Like each side has a king or queen or jack and things of that nature. So yeah, really cool components. I'm sure it's a blast to play.
Really fun too. There's a lot of people that just love dice related games, so this one has cool custom dice, so that'll be a lot of fun for them.
Absolutely. So that's it for traditional board games, but we do have some other really cool games, including the Force Friday Star Wars Destiny 2-player starter set. We got them this week and are very excited to get some new people into Star Wars Destiny. This is one of the hottest, new, coolest collectible cards and dice games set in the Star Wars universe. You take on the role of, in this case, in this starter set, includes a deck for Rey, or a hero deck, and a deck with Kylo Ren, or a villain deck. And it really plays out really fast-paced, super fun, but also simple enough to sort of sit down and learn it in about 20 minutes or so, and then you have a whole lifetime of gaming ahead of you.
Right, and this is the first time that it's been available in a form where essentially everything comes that is required to for two people to play.
That's right. Yeah, they did starter sets late last year. This is the first time it's got everything for you and a friend, which is really exciting.
Now, our show, The Good, the Bad, and the Freaky, we didn't get to record that on Wednesday like we normally would because of the holiday, the Labor Day holiday, and sort of delays in deliveries and all of that. In fact, this didn't arrive till yesterday, so it came in a bit late. But we are going to be publishing The Good, the Bad, and the Freaky again tomorrow, which is Friday, and we are going to do a box opening of this game and show you what's inside.
Yeah, a little secret. I believe this will be Ian's Freaky, so we will be opening that, unboxing it tomorrow in The Good, the Bad, and the Freaky, so keep an eye out for that on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, and so Star Wars Destiny, super exciting, great time to get in. We have Spirit of Rebellion in stock, and next week the third expansion to Star Wars Destiny releases, Empire at War. We are doing Star Wars Destiny every Friday night, both casual plays about 3 weeks out of the month, and 1 week of OP play, or next week, which is the Empire at War release not tournament, but event, where you get the chance to get some exclusive release cards and see what's going on in Empire at War. So we highly encourage you. This is one of our favorite new games, and we'd love to see you swing by and pick up a starter set, because this is super cool. Yeah,
we have a bunch of these starter sets in the store. We've got a bunch of the expansion packs in the store. They're really neat. They're inexpensive, easy to grab, and easy to sort of build on your deck with. So a lot of fun.
Very much so. So that's it for Star Wars Destiny. There will be more of that next week. But in the meantime, one of our favorite sort of, I don't know, what would you call the nature of this game?
It's sort of a card-based role-playing game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So Gloom, the second edition, is a restock for us. We've held this before. Like I said, one of our favorite games. But Gloom in Space is new to us, and I think that's a really great setting for this really cool game, which sort of has you taking on the role of a family and attempting to have them, let's say, perish in the most spectacular way.
Yeah, it's strange in that you're trying to take this family that's important to you and sort of make them miserable, but that's what Gloom is all about.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so funny and hilarious and really fun. So
we also have expansions for this that let you build upon it and give you more storytelling capability, and those expansions are compatible with both versions, whether it be the sort of Victorian era second edition Gloom or the Gloom in Space version. The expansions work across the board.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing about this game. It has some of the coolest components I've ever seen. It packages up into a box about this big, and it's filled with these really cool clear plastic cards, sort of normal playing card size, but you lay them on top of each other, and they add this transparency that you can read through each other and get a sense of what's happened in this story that you're creating for this family. So I really love the components in this game. Super fun, nice and light and fun and exciting. So yeah, that's it for Gloom. We do have one more sort of card/board game, which is a new addition to us. in Drinking Flux. Flux is a line of games that we carry a lot of. We have Adventure Time and Cartoon Network, Base Flux, Cthulhu, Space Flux, Stoner Flux, and we just got in Drinking Flux, as it were. So it takes the base game and sort of twists it into a party drinking game, which, some of you guys might be fans of.
Well, the company that makes this turned 21 years old this year. They wanted to make, they said they had grown up and wanted to make a grown-up version of their game, and thus they created Drinking Flux.
I think it makes a lot of sense. In this game, the rules are constantly changing. As you draw cards, you will draw new rules, and for a drinking game, that makes a lot of sense. So one of our favorites for sure, really light and fast and easy, and we got a bunch of these things, but we just got Drinking Flux. So finally, for this week, excuse the fire trucks, but
they're not coming here.
No, they are not, which is good. But in the meantime, we have new, really cool, exciting things for Star Trek Attack Wing, actually. So these are long-awaited ship card packs for a number of factions. We have Klingon, Romulan, Federation, and of course the Dominion. I know the Klingons have a really great set of cards in this, but the idea here is that they sort of revitalize and breathe new life into ships that have been out for a couple years now.
Right. When you buy a ship for Star Trek Attack Wing, it comes with a set of cards specifically to enable that ship with capabilities. It comes with crew members and captains and maneuver dials and everything that's required to put that ship on the table and play it in the game. But what happens is, over time, you might want to have a ship, for instance, a Klingon ship with new capabilities. And so in this case, all you need to do is get these updated card packs, you apply them to the plastic ship model that you already have, and now that ship has an entirely new set of capabilities, new captain, new crew, and Jim Yeager, our sort of instructor in Star Trek Attack Wing, loves these things. He's been getting them to unbox in his show, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing a bunch of those played on the table here, and probably you'll talk about it tonight on Jim's podcast.
I think we will. I'll be appearing on Trek Talking, on Blog Talking Radio, and on Jim Yeager's podcast, where I'm sure we will be talking about the new Klingon Raptor card pack, which he came and picked up yesterday, and I knew was very excited about. We have a really awesome group for this game that is growing all the time, especially after our appearance at Trek Conderoga. So yeah, very excited to see new pieces for this game. It's a great time to get in, as these Wave 1 of card packs are just released, and a new starter set is coming out next month, and they already have a Wave 2 of the card packs coming with even more factions involved. So your favorite faction is getting a card pack soon. So yeah, very exciting stuff for Star Trek Attack Wing. But that just about does it for this Just In, episode 4. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Facebook, or if you're catching this on YouTube later, thank you so much for watching. If you could, like, share, subscribe, comment, or swing by the Geekery. We will be here our regular hours. Love to help you find something really cool and geeky and new that you're looking to get into. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and until next week, see you then.
Thanks. See you guys.